We are about 10 days away from Heat training camp getting underway, and we just got awful news on Tyler Herro. This is the Heat Report by Chat Sports. I am Nic Rohloff. It was reported earlier today, initially by 5 Reasons Sports Network, that Tyler Herro will miss part of the regular season, specifically about the first month, due to a procedure he will have on his left foot. Yes, this is a serious thing that we are going to discuss. We'll go through the entire injury, all the different reports, and what is next for the Miami Heat. But what did we deserve to do this? Or what did we do to deserve this, I should say? I mean, this is as bad as it gets. Like, we go all offseason. We make an improvement to the roster, adding Norman Powell. I'm fired up about the draft pick that is Kasparas Jakubonis. We get Kel'el Ware entering his second year. But then our leading scorer, our best offensive player, is going to miss the first month of the year? Like, I feel like Heat fans have just been getting screwed over time and time and time again ever since the Big Three era. Make it so far in the playoffs, yet be so far away from winning a title. We're finally starting the full clean slate post-Jimmy Butler era. Your best offensive player is going to miss the first month and change of the season. This is unlucky. Now, Anthony Chiang added more on the injury. He said it's a ankle-foot impingement, I guess. I'm not a medical person. I don't know. Said that he suffered the injury in the middle of the summer, received some cortisone injections in recent weeks, hoping to avoid surgery and the pain to go down. But the discomfort never went away, and it was decided between him and the Heat brass that it is necessary to get a surgery to avoid more issues down the road. And I don't hate the idea of just nipping it in the bud and getting surgery, because we know throughout history, whether it's our own players, whether it's players across the league, foot injuries can linger around. Joel Embiid, for example. Granted, different sized player, but still, when you have foot injuries, if you don't get them treated perfectly, they can linger and they can be re-injured time after time after time. More coming here, but this is why you subscribe to the channel. We were busy doing some other Dolphin stuff here at the Chat Sports Company today, but we got to the Tyler Herro injury news eventually, and we will have you covered on all Miami Heat news. And when training camp gets started in a week, we will have you covered every single day. So subscribe, join the channel, and let's get to 24,600. Now, I will say, even though I am not that opposed to nipping in the bud, getting surgery, and getting ourselves moving forward, it is hard to truly know when the surgery could have been had. Because they say it happened in the middle of summer. So is that July? Is that August? And they said they've been hoping to get it resolved in the last couple of weeks. Well, the thing that just drives me a little bit mad here is that if this did happen in the middle of July, and he's had this injury for a couple months, and they just hoped it would get better and pushed off surgery, well, then I'm a little bit of upset. Because if they got surgery right when it happened, potentially in July, well, then he would probably be ready for basketball activities at the end of October when the regular season begins, or early November. And you're not having to have him come back in December and miss the first, 20 games of the season? So, that's the part that annoys me a little bit. And Anthony Chiang did say that his guess, the Herro, will be out for the first month of the year. Season starts October 22nd, possibly a little bit more. It's unclear what the timeline is for Herro, but apparently the surgery is happening today on Friday, September 19th, and we'll find out more on the recovery timeline after that. But if we're just reading in between the lines here, I don't think it's realistic to expect Tyler Herro to be back on the court for the Miami Heat until December. If it happens earlier and he recovers really nicely and swiftly and he's back in November, awesome. That's great. I don't anticipate it happening until December, though, because think about this. You have to first recover from the injury, and then you have to ramp up his conditioning. So it's probably going to take a month and a change to be cleared for basketball activities. But then once you get cleared for basketball activities, you have to ramp up into conditioning and game shape. And then you're going to be a little bit rusty. So, it's hard to really imagine Tyler Herro being the player that we saw from a year ago until mid-December, maybe even 2026, early January. I hope to be wrong on that. But when it comes to these injuries that are foot injuries, like, you just don't want to play with them. And I'm going to err on the side of caution rather than try to be up here and be optimistic, telling you, hey, there's a chance he returns in November. I don't think that's really the case. I think there's more likely of a chance he returns in January of 2026 than he does in November of this year. Pin comment on today's show, one word on the Tyler Herro injury. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments section. My one word coming up here in a second, but I want to know yours. My one word is unfortunate. It is. Not only for the Miami Heat, but for Tyler Herro specifically. Herro has 2 years left on his current contract, and we've had a lot of discussion this offseason about if Miami will extend him this offseason. Will they extend him? I think it's a safe assumption to say that there will be no extension this October. Remember, he is eligible for an extension starting on October 1st, and it runs through October 20th, right before the season starts. Well, with him not playing basketball until at best late November, it feels like it's a little bit difficult to project an extension. Which, remember, the max extension he is eligible for is a 3-year, $149.7 million contract. If you don't extend him to that, he's eligible then for a 4-year, $202 million contract extension. And if he was able to make All-NBA this year, he would then be eligible next offseason for a 5-year, $360 million extension. But here's another fallout. Not only is it likely the Heat don't agree to an extension right now, but it's also incredibly unlikely that Tyler Herro is going to appear in 65 games this year because he's going to miss probably the first 20 of the season. So it's almost guaranteed that he won't play 65 games this year, which once again would make him a player injury-prone, missing time for Miami. But that also disqualifies him from All-NBA contention. Remember, you got to play 65 games to qualify for All-NBA and all of the season awards. And I doubt with him not being able to play early in the year that he's able to be an NBA All-Star. So not only does it cost him the chance to be an All-NBA and get that extension scale higher, but with him being out and not an All-Star, there's just no way that you can justify paying him the 3-year, $149.7 million max extension. I didn't want to do that anyway. I wanted to pay him around $40 million max, like a 3 for $120. I think it's a fair deal for Tyler. Guess what? Price might have just went down a little bit, and I might only be willing to pay him $35, $36 million if he wants to stay here because he's only been healthy 1 year. And we saw it in the NFL if you're a Dolphins fan. Tua Tagovailoa. 1 year, full 17 games. He was great that year, just like Tyler was last season. But they gave him an extension after the 1 year, and now it's a disaster. Should the Heat give Herro that max extension he's eligible for because he had 1 year of staying healthy and having an all-star year? Probably not. It's very similar. It's very, very similar between the two. But the question also remains now for Miami, who starts? Because the projected starting lineup was Tyler Herro, Norman Powell, Andrew Wiggins, Bam Adebayo, and one of Nikola Jovic or Kelal Ware. Well, now, this is what I believe the Heat starting lineup should be following the Herro injury. Davion Mitchell, who you re-signed this offseason, thank goodness you did, probably slots in as that starting point guard. And Norman Powell will be your normal standard 2 guard. Wiggins and Bam will still be in that starting group. But I think you got to start Nikola Jovic. And I already said to you on a video on Thursday, and really over the past week, that Jovic, I think, should be starting alongside Herro, Powell, Wiggins, and Bam over Ware for his ability to space the floor, create with the ball in his hands, and just provide more versatility. I think with Davion Mitchell being a starting 1 with no Herro for the beginning of the year, Nikola Jovic absolutely has to start now. There is no question about it. Because with Tyler Herro, that is your best three-point shooter after losing Duncan Robinson. That is your best on-ball creator and best pick-and-roll ball handler. Davion Mitchell does a lot of things well, but he does not create for himself. He does not really create for others like Tyler Herro could. The only thing Davion does better than Tyler is defend. He does it at a very high level, but Herro is better infinitely at almost everything offensively. So you need a scoring punch and an offensive boost in that starting 5 after losing Tyler Herro because you're going to improve defensively with Davion, but your offense takes a massive drop off. And we're already talking about a team that was bottom 10 in the NBA last year offensively. So you need more shooting and you need more playmaking. Two things that Nikola Jovic brings to the table for someone that is 6'10 at his size. So you don't lose any size. You only lose a couple inches going from Ware to Jovic, but you gain much more shooting and spacing and much more ball handling and playmaking. Like, this is a massive opportunity for Nikola Jovic, who is entering the final year of his rookie contract. He is a restricted free agent a year from now, to get off to a hot start, stay healthy, be a starter, and cement himself as a key long-term piece in this Heat organization. And I'll be honest, we're talking a lot about extensions. I've mentioned I would extend Jovic right now for 3 for $45. I'll harp on this point even more. It could go either way. It really could. But I am choosing to believe in Jovic as a player and a young 22-year-old to where he will take advantage of this opportunity. And if he does the way I think he could, we're now going to be sitting here potentially in the summer of 2026 paying Jovic $20 million per year. Well, you could get him for 15 per right now if you extend him. So it's a massive opportunity for Jovic. I think he should start. And I also think Miami should look to extend him now before the season begins. You make the call for me, though. Should Nikola Jovic be a starter for the Heat? I think it's no-brainer. Davion starts in that backcourt. But should Jovic start in the front court with all the lineup changes? Why for yes or N for no? Another hilarious piece about this, by the way, I'm not trolling when I say this. Is there a chance we need to keep Terry Rozier now? Obviously still under the FBI investigation for the alleged gambling scheme. But, I mean, this Heat guard rotation without Tyler Herro is rough. Davion is your lead guard. Norman Powell is your 2 guard, but he's not a creator. He can, but he's not an on-ball heavy usage creator. You signed Drew Smith back, yeah, but do we have confidence in him being your lead point guard? Kasparas Yakachonis, your 20th overall pick. I have a lot of high hopes for him long term, but he doesn't look ready. I mean, we watched him in the summer league. He struggled big time in terms of finding his ability to hit a shot, creating with turnovers. Like, I'm having a hard time believing that Kasparas Yakachonis will be able to come in as a 19-year-old rookie and provide really solid production off the bench for Miami based off what we saw in Summer League. So if that's the case, your 4th guard is now Terry Rozier. And there's a chance we need to rely on him. There's also some buzz out there that Miami may waive Rozier, and if they do that, maybe they go out and sign a vet-min guard. Maybe we'll have a video coming out in the next couple of weeks of Herro replacements potentially. Or next week, I should say. A couple of days, not weeks, but my goodness. Either way, that's a real opportunity for Rozier. It's a real opportunity for Miami to go add another guard. Point is, it doesn't help Miami one bit here because the first 10 games of the year are brutal. I mean, they are. You start in Orlando and Memphis, 2 teams that are projected to be equal or better than you. The Knicks, who are at the top of the East. Like, there's a chance you start the year 0-3. There is. Especially with no Tyler. Hornets. I mean, any game could be won or lost in the NBA. But when you're missing your 23.8 per game scorer and your best perimeter handler, creator, shooter, it's going to be difficult, especially for a team that was 21st in the NBA offensively a year ago and has been bottom 10 in the NBA each of the last 3 seasons. Like, I just have to imagine the start of the season could be very rough for Miami. Now, maybe they become a cohesive unit. They rally around this injury and ultimately play really, really well. There's a chance. I just don't forecast that being the most likely outcome here. It's going to be interesting. Well, I'll do it for today's show. Appreciate everybody for hanging with us here on this Tyler Herro injury news. We'll have more videos coming out in the next coming days of the fallout, starting lineup, free agent targets, draft talk even needs to be had, and even how this may impact Wiggins and Norman Powell trade rumors in the future. So be on the lookout for that and subscribe to the channel.